Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we are going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Mr. Miyagi fought Sato during the events of the Karate Kid 2? So in this timeline, the events of the Karate Kid 2 would still happen. Mr. Miyagi and Daniel would still go to Okinawa, and Mr. Miyagi would still want to go see his father. Sato would still find out that Mr. Miyagi was back, and he would still want to fight him, but Mr. Miyagi would still refuse, and the events of the Karate Kid 2 would carry on. Mr. Miyagi's father would still pass away, and those events would carry on. Daniel and Chosen would still have their rivalry, and Sato would still want to get Mr. Miyagi to fight, and eventually Sato would order that the village be destroyed. So wanting to save the village, Mr. Miyagi would agree to fight Sato, so Mr. Miyagi and Sato would make a deal that win or lose, the deed to the village goes back to the residents, so Mr. Miyagi and Sato would have one day to prepare, and much like in the original timeline, Mr. Miyagi would still write his last will and testament, and the events of Karate Kid 2 would carry on. In this timeline, there wouldn't be a storm, so the next day, Mr. Miyagi and Sato would prepare to fight, and the whole village would watch. Sato would strike first, and he would use the aggressive form of Miyagi-Do, but Mr. Miyagi would defend himself, and he would dodge Sato's attack. Sato would continue attacking Mr. Miyagi, but Mr. Miyagi would be holding back, and he would continue dodging Sato's attacks. The whole village would notice that Mr. Miyagi was holding back. This would make Sato mad. Sato would think that Mr. Miyagi was disrespecting his honor by holding back, and he would grab the side that he was hiding in his gi. So Sato would want to stab Mr. Miyagi, but Mr. Miyagi would use the pressure point technique, and he would disable Sato. So Sato would be defenseless against Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi would stand over Sato, and he would tell him fighting was wrong, and Mr. Miyagi would start making a speech in front of the whole village, just like he did before he left Okinawa the first time. He would say that fighting was wrong, and that the tradition of fighting for your honor was no good. He would say that the best way to restore your honor was by doing good things and trying to be a better person. He would look at Sato again. Mr. Miyagi would say that they were friends and that his father never taught him hate, and he would say he wasn't going to kill him. He would tell Sato that he had a lot to live for. So Mr. Miyagi would show mercy to Sato, and at first, Sato would be mad, but he would slowly realize that Mr. Miyagi was right. So Sato would apologize to Mr. Miyagi and to the rest of the village for everything he's done, and he would agree to restore his honor by helping Tommy Village. Sato and Mr. Miyagi would become friends again. Everyone in the village would be happy, except Chosen. He would think that his uncle had become a coward. He would feel betrayed by his uncle, so Chosen would run away, and the events of Karate Kid 2 would continue. Daniel and Mr. Miyagi would go back to the US a lot sooner, and Daniel would still have the idea to open up Mr. Miyagi's little trees a lot sooner, and by the time the events of the Karate Kid 3 would happen, Kreese would still go to Terry Silver. Terry Silver would still want to get revenge on Mr. Miyagi and Daniel, so Terry Silver would still hire Mike Barnes, and those events would stay the same. Mike Barnes would still intimidate Daniel, and Daniel would still go to Terry Silver, and the events of Karate Kid 3 would carry on. Daniel would still find out the truth about Terry Silver, so Mr. Miyagi would still agree to train Daniel, and the events would carry on. Daniel would still fight Mike Barnes at the All Valley tournament. Mike Barnes would still be gaining and losing a point against Daniel, but much like in the original timeline, Daniel would still get the final point, and he would still defeat Mike Barnes, so Daniel would still be the two-time All Valley champion. And Daniel and Mr. Miyagi would continue training over the years, and that is where I'm going to end this What If. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Mr. Miyagi fought Sato during the events of the Karate Kid 2? Let me know in the comments below. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys next time.